out tonight. It's cold and it's raining and it is in the middle of the holiday season, so I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm Carla Nazzaro. I'm the chair of the Killam School Building Committee. I'm also on the school committee. If you know me, I always like to just have people to introduce yourselves, if you don't mind.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I work for Reading Municipal Light. So any electrical questions, and you might be doing solar on this property, so any questions you might have, feel free to come ask.
Joshua, I'm with the Town of Reading, Executive Assistant to Operations.
I'm Jane Wellman, the Assistant Town Manager.
I'm Matt Cornelis, I'm the Town Manager. I want to welcome everybody tonight as well. How many people got my letter inviting them out? Anybody? We sent out over 300 letters, so I was hoping it would be. All right, thank you. It's good to know, so thank you. We'll get some great information for you tonight.
I'm Lindsay Fulton, the Killam principal. I'm Tanya McGuire, Killam's fourth grade teacher.
Denise Ayers, I'm para here at Killam.
Good evening, Tom Milcheski, the Superintendent of Schools.
John Coote, member of the committee.
Chris Haley, same as John, and on the select board.
Jim Boyd, neighbor. What was that? Retired principal.
Joanne Waldridge, April Street resident and neighbor.
Maureen Cottle, neighbor and grandparent of Killam.
Mark Sorrow, I'm a neighbor and I'm on the finance committee too.
Kim Saley, neighbor. I'm a second grader, and next year we'll have
Jessica White, I'm a neighbor, and next year I'll have a kindergartner.
Ed Ross, I'm on the Killam School Building Committee and a member of the Finance Committee as well.
Ray Porter on the RMLD Board of Commissioners.
And you were on the Sustainability Committee.
And I was on the Sustainability Committee and past member of the Climate Advisory.
Super. Thank you, everyone, and Mike from RCTV. We are, I believe almost everybody here has been to multiple meetings, but I'm going to give just a quick review of the project and where we're at and what we would, it's going to be like a 5-minute presentation, and then we're going to have time to mingle and have plenty of time for questions and things like that. I will tell you that we have an upcoming meeting on the 16th next week where we will select our HVAC system. So that is a huge decision for us, and we're really excited about that step in the process. Interesting colors. So most everybody knows that we are involved with the MSBA, the Massachusetts School Building Authority project. The MSBA is a quasi-state agency that gets its funding from a portion of our 6.25 sales tax. So they have given away over like $18 billion to districts in the Commonwealth. They have a really good program that we have to just follow, which sounds really easy, but it's not. But they have a really good program. Whenever we feel like we're getting to a decision-making point, I know I get a little nervous, and we always seem to all get to the same place at the same time. So it's a process that really works, and I feel good about it, and I think a lot of people on the committee feel good about it as well. So there are 8 different modules with the MSBA process. We are currently in module number 4, which is the schematic design. So we did a statement of interest up here in June of 2021. So we're a good couple of years into this whole process. I will tell you that we're really grateful to be in the MSBA program. When we joined, there were 118 applicants. We were one of 17 who got selected. So it's an honor to be in. It's a huge deal and resource for the town to be involved in this process. This is our project schedule. You've probably seen it 100 times. right now highlighted in this orange area here, this is the feasibility study and the schematic design, kind of a little difficult to see, schematic design phase. This part was funded by town meeting already, right? So if we get to this point in June, when we have a town vote, funding is, we're in essence done with our $2.2 million worth of funding. That funding, we will be reimbursed for a portion of that funding from the MSBA, but if the project is going to continue after the vote, we need another funding source. So we'll be going to town meeting for approval to have a debt exclusion vote, going for a debt exclusion vote. We have it in June. We will be finalizing that date because we know we have another Center for Active Living project. So we're trying to kind of coordinate schedules to get on the same debt exclusion vote. So we're going to be finalizing that as soon as we hit our milestone of the 16th next week, choosing our HVAC system. And you'll notice building construction here. It's going to be a 2-year process. That doesn't mean we're done on the site because there's still about a year of demolition and site cleanup and transfer of ownership and systems. So this is the most current. Go ahead. Sure.
What is the town voting for?
So the town is voting yay or nay for the project. So they're voting to fund the project.
Oh, okay.
So, and we're going to do it with a debt exclusion, so we're going to take out a loan, basically, to pay for the project. We have some debt coming off the books, the library, Wood End, and the high school. But when we get closer to that time, we will have information on our website that people can go in and put their address and see how it will affect their taxes. Everybody will have that information by the time we get there. So this is a current site plan that we have. You'll notice that you can see here a dotted line, and that is the existing school. So the new school, it seems blurry. The new school is going to be more on the Haverhill Street side, pushed up as close as we felt comfortable putting it there. We will have, there's been a lot of work done on parking and flow of traffic. So we will have a parking flow that I'll go over. We'll have a bus flow here. We're going to have a U12 soccer field, and there's different segmented play areas for different groups of children. I put this pricing piece in. The designer didn't put it in, but I put it in because I wanted to just highlight for people, just as a reminder. The MSBA requires that we look at different projects. So we, as a project, had to look at a renovation of the existing building. So that was our option A. We had to look at the renovation of this existing building, bringing it up to code, and then an addition. So that was option 2. If we did that, we would have no site left because we would need too much area. Option B1 is the option outlined in red. That is the option that we selected, and I'm going to show you a plan of it in a minute. That was the cheaper of the 3 options. And then there was an additional new construction option that we called our wing option, where our classroom space were more, not in a donut shape, but more in a wing. Even though people thought it was a long corridor, it actually truly wasn't. So you'll notice that total gross square feet, about 60,000 square feet in this existing building. The new construction is double that. So what does that mean? It means that this building is not adequate for the amount of students that we have. We don't set that number, the MSBA tells us how big our classrooms are going to be, how big our space is going to be, how much space you need per child. So this school is right-sized per the MSBA. We have, we've added on some things. We added on Rise Preschool. We made our gym a little bit bigger, but we have used that space, and our designers have been really creative with that space in pulling some of that classroom space out to the hallways so we can get, and we've really been pushing the MSB for additional reimbursement. And they complied with us once and possibly twice, so we are really pleased with how our process is going. This is the floor plan. This is the floor plan. It is a two-story building in some areas and a three-story building in others. Here is our, currently, we have Rise Preschool, which is our pre-K. That is in 3 different locations in our district. We have decided to consolidate it all to one location for a whole slew of different reasons. It will help to alleviate a lot of the pressure with the rest of our district. It will give us some really good opportunities at our high school. We were very pleasantly surprised with the MSBA that they're going to participate in funding for those classrooms, so for those 12 classrooms. They won't participate in this space here. We call it the big room, in some of the offices here, but all these 12 classrooms are participating in that funding. So it was a really, we were really excited about that. We will have access for the community with the cafeteria and the gym, and we'll be able to close off the rest of the building, but people can still come in through these 2 entrances and utilize the building. Our gymnasium is on our 2nd floor, and above it is natural light coming in. And then we have kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. This is where our donut concept comes around with the media center and the library in the center. And then we put the big kids on the 3rd floor. So they'll gradually go up. And we feel really good about this design as well, right?
Yeah, in past meetings that we had, that center space was a big feature of this school that the teachers and students really, really like. And so that's why it's reflected in these drawings. It's capturing some of the spirit and the community that this school created. So it's a very nice positive feature that was carried over to the new design. So teachers wanted it, the students wanted it, so it was a big part of the plan.
Thank you for saying that. My kids were at Joshua Eaton, and I never even stepped foot into this building until I was on school committee. And the community in this building, the Killam community, is very special. Yeah. From the top down. And the kids coming in are happy, the staff is happy. They're going to be overjoyed if they're in a new building. But you're right, that center space with the library and that kind of common hub was really important to them. And there's a big sense of community with the families as well and the students.
Even among siblings, which might be in different grades, it's a chance to kind of catch up with siblings that might be coming. So yeah, no, I'm glad it was something that got reflected in the building, in the footprint.
Thank you. And so here's the media center in the library, like they have here. And they'll be able to access it from the 2nd floor. They can come up, the little kids can come up these stairs, and then the bigger kids can come down these stairs, but it will also be opened up on the 3rd floor too. So it's going to really be the hub of the school. So thank you for bringing that up. This is our first 3D depiction of the whole landscape. It does not mean it's going to look like this. It just means that this is one of the area, one way that it can look. I'm really encouraged by our designers. I actually like the way this looks, but so this is just a 3D depiction of how it will look.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Are those trees all going to be planted And the reason I ask, because that would create a nice buffer between the school and the neighbors.
So at one of our last community meetings, we had our landscape designer here talking about the different types of tree plantings and things like that. We will have a meeting at the appropriate time with the abutters, because if the landscape designers have options, and you can be part of that input for the options, that's a kind of a win-win for everybody. So, what was that?
The tree warden? Yeah. So he was, the tree warden is already part of a lot of the meetings too. So we've already talked about like what shrubbery is best for noise control, for along fencing areas. I've learned a lot in this project, and including that we have a tree warden. But he had some really great thoughts, and we'll definitely look for some feedback.
Is landscape cost included in the estimate?
Yes, it will be, so there is an estimate for the building, and then the entire site with contingency and all that, so it will be all included. And when we say that the MSBA participates, they participate in eligible costs. So they're, you know, if it works out to be at like 52% of eligible costs, and there's about, you know, 11 different things that determine what your percentage is, and I have them in my computer if anybody's interested. And I think ours is around 52%, but that's not of the total project cost, of eligible costs, yeah, of things that they will pay for. I had to put something in about traffic. Coming in here off of Charles Street, the staff will come into the parking lot this way. Parents will not be allowed to access this way in the morning or at drop-off or pickup.
The new HVAC system should be quieter this way.
It will be. And then in red, this is where the parents will come in here to drop their children off in the morning if they choose to. There are 30 on-site parking spots there, and there are also 40 off-street parking spots. And I will show you a slide in a minute that shows the existing conditions of the street and the proposed conditions. The buses will come in from Haverhill Street here and then exit the same way. Walking wise, you can get to the school any way you want, but we will have clearer and safer ways for the kids to be crossing the streets and things like that. Because right now it's kind of a free-for-all of just people just trying to get into the building. So we, you know, they say if you build it, they will come. We can build this, but we have to execute it. And I have no doubt that the execution will be complete. And if not, we'll hear about it, which is good too. And then we've already made some of these off-site improvements, and that's from community input as well as this traffic study that our traffic people have done. This was what I was talking about here. This is the existing condition where you have cars parking on the grass, encroaching on the sidewalks and blocking driveways. So there's like a single lane here where cars are going back and forth. And you can imagine kids are getting out of cars and just crossing the street. And they're tiny and you can't see them past some of these big vehicles. This is what the proposed traffic scheme will be, where there will be permanent dedicated spaces on the side so traffic flow will still be able to go both ways. Also, when you get to the side streets, there will only be traffic parking on the south side of those streets as well. There has been studies for Haverhill Street, and I know there's concern if, you know, when more building happens down the street. So we will definitely share that information, our traffic information, with whomever needs that as well. And I think there's already been painting done on some of the crosswalks and lights and stuff. additional crosswalk plan.
It's really, there are a number of residents that live on the opposite side of the school. There's no sidewalk there. There's no crosswalks. And trying to get out of my driveway, I need to stop one. Yeah.
You say sidewalks and crosswalks? I don't know if they're doing the other side of Haverhill Street, but the plan is to redo the Haverhill Street crosswalk. Right now, it's really in a poor location, and that's why we added those cones as well, because if a car parks too close to that crosswalk, you can't see anyone stepping out onto Haverhill Street traffic, and as you know, they go quite fast. So they're, I don't know what they'll do on that far side, but I know they're working on adjusting closest to the school side. We can find that out. Do you know anything else? Yes. We did talk to the traffic consultant, talked a lot about the flashing lights to stop someone if their crosswalk was lit up. That's still in the works, but they are trying to deter people from additional people walking across and parking on Haverhill. They'll leave some of those spots, but we're hoping for more parking on the Charles Street side or in that parking lot. The police? So they're already working on it. I don't know if you've seen them out there more. It's definitely though in our plan to continue to have, and I think especially when the new school is built, right from the beginning to have, we're gonna need help with the traffic patterns and slowing people down there. So we've already met with Reading Fire and police multiple times. I know Officer Batcher is our SRO. I asked him to come out this week. He was here with me this morning. So we're trying to be proactive about that support. Yeah. That's one of our biggest concerns in that image there, is we have quite a few students who will be on bikes, whether it's Haverhill Street or Charles Street, bikes or walking, and then they're trying to go by those cars, someone opens a door, or they're going around traffic. It's just not safe for them to actually have a walking, or if you have a stroller, wheelchair, anything.
I think those are really good points, Joanne. I think we've heard some of those throughout the process. I think I've been encouraged when I've heard from the traffic designers and some of the changes. And I think just big picture, two things that I've been encouraged by is one, is we actually see them making some structural changes of things that have been long-standing issues, whether you're talking about placements of crosswalks, placements of parking spots, signage, other things that have been like issues for decades in the community I feel are finally being addressed. And the second thing, I think it also gives a chance of a reset of some of just the bad habits that people have fallen into too. Like we know that Lindsay was sharing some of the work with the police and helping to curb some of those bad habits, but at the same time we see maybe some positive movement and people revert back to what they've been doing. I think with the new structural changes, plus sort of a whole new kind of traffic landscape, it does give us the chance to reset some of those habits and hopefully get some people sort of back on track doing the right things. We think at this point there's structural issues and there's behavioral issues, and those are both together kind of challenging for us to shift without some major changes. Your runner, ladies and gentlemen, Ed Ross.
I did not need an announcement for that.
So sort of to tag on to that is, this might be more Madden on the school, but there's no sidewalks really on Wakefield Street. So, this morning I saw some real little kids coming up the hill, and it's the whole length of Wakefield, all the way to Pearl, even to Pearl. So, I mean, some of the bad habits, like there's kids who are walking on the street in heavy traffic. So I don't know if there's plans, like Wakefield definitely needs sidewalks. I don't know what the plan is there. It's sort of maybe outside a building of the school, but that's definitely needed. And I'd even say Pearl Street should have sidewalks too.
They're also putting four-way stop control here, just to make it clearer. Because right now it's only two, right? There's just a stop control in one place.
Yeah, but the kids are all on the street there, it's not, you know, and a lot of kids are getting driven, where I think if there were sidewalks, they probably wouldn't get, so you get a whole traffic pattern that's happening, that might not happen if sidewalks are there anyways. I don't know if it's thought of that.
Yeah, thank you. It's certainly something we could look into. Sidewalks are an expensive item and take a lot of planning. So I'll double check with DPW in terms of our sidewalk plan, if that's something we're looking at in that area. But sometimes sidewalks are a little easier said than done, and they're popular. A lot of people want sidewalks in the neighborhood. I know this is an area around a school, so we prioritize those areas. But I have to do a little more checking, but certainly great points. So thank you.
Hi, it was hard to tell from the overlay of where the existing school is. What are the plans for where the children will go to school while the building is being built? That is a very hot question on my mind. It will affect both of my kids.
So you can see this here, right? This is the existing school, right? Here. Actually, that's not really clear. The existing school comes out to here, right? They will stay at school. They will stay in the school during construction. And then once the building is built, we'll move them over, and that's when that other here will demo with. We're going to sell off the bricks too, so buy a brick.
That's really great to hear. Was that a selling point on choosing this design so that there wasn't any relocation during the building?
We actually uncovered every rock, and we actually looked into moving the students to a different location because that would dramatically cut down on construction. It didn't pan out. So yes, this three-story building is our solution for that.
I'm glad about that. Thank you.
I have a lot of thoughts about that as well. But I think the plan thus far, and there's so many people supporting the project, that I feel confident that we'll know ahead of time certain things that are happening. Like already, our project managers and the architects, they'll tell me 2 weeks in advance, hey, we have soil borings going in 2 weeks. Can you make sure that X, Y, and Z location? So I think there'll be a lot of communication, both from the managers to myself and the team, but also from me to families. I think it's going to be crucial. And obviously student safety is the biggest piece of that we'll consider with access to the project. And then everyone asked about recess. I already have a lot of thoughts about what they could do at recess, of where we might move that. Every time I go to a store and I see a large lawn game or something we could use, it's already in my mind, but I think as it evolves, we'll be looking for help for ideas for that too.
The designers, the contractors, they're used to doing in schools. That's what they do. So safety will be absolutely. Thank you for coming. Please. Oh, Jim.
What is? Oh yeah, but for people on TV, they want to hear your voice. I'm sorry. What is the time frame for construction to start beginning? How long is it going to take? And when do you expect this project to be finished?
So once we have the town vote next spring, the designers are going to be about a year to do their final design, right? So that will be, they'll complete their design here, and then we'll go out to bid. The goal at this moment, and like this may tweak, if this date tweaks, these dates might change a bit too. Construction will last about 2 years, and then for the construction, then the demolition part, the site work is after that. Another year.
So basically what you're saying is it's going to start in 2026 and be finished 2028?
Yes.
Is that,
Yeah,
that's the game?
yes. And well, done with the construction, and then done, 2000, halfway through 2029 is when the site work will be done and all that.
I have a question about when the existing building will be demolished. Would it be like during the summer, or would the kids be in the new building while the other buildings being demolished?
That's a great question, and obviously our owner's project manager is excellent, and he has been working on our schedule to try and tweak it to get the contractor in as soon as he can, with the mindset that we want the kids to be moving into the new school at the appropriate time. So the kids will be in the school, and then the demolition will happen. Hopefully it will be, you see in the news, all the schools that, they're shooting for a September. It could be a mid-year movie too. We're going to figure it out as well too. We're around for questions. Please help yourself to cookies and coffee. And once again, thanks for